You can hear me, right? My name is Rashim Gupta. I'm a first-year MBA student. I'm currently interning at the mayor's office of operations. So I'm with the Plan Advisory Group, but I keep hearing these terms. And so I'm interested in more questions like policy. Other than New York City and the US, which countries do you see who are leading the clean tech policies? And the second part of the question is, what are you in the private sector doing necessarily to bring new countries on pushing these policies on them?
I'll talk a little bit about some of the other countries. You know, I've been in this energy environment job for a year and a half, and until this year, I kind of wished I had a British accent. Just because the EU has, the emission trading scheme, and of course it hasn't really worked yet to reduce carbon emissions, but they've been talking like this. There was an article some of you may have seen last year in the New York Times with this Victorian house with this smart meter in it. I was like, wow, isn't that the coolest thing? So over in Europe, there's been a real focus on this whole area, the UK and some of the other countries over there, the US, as you know. In some of the emerging markets, China is focusing more on it, as we were saying. That the way they look at this in China, it's their turn to go through the Industrial Revolution. It's not fair they have to stop now, and I can understand that. But they are going through the Industrial Revolution, so all the stuff we poured into the air, that's what they get to do now, and they happen to have 5 times as many people. So, and they're actually sending things all over the planet, so they're doing a lot for the world, but at the same time creating emissions, but they're starting to take it more seriously. So, but I would say that the ones who kind of got it first from the policy perspective was the European Union and the countries there. Now we're catching up, which is great. And the Kyoto Protocol, of course, those who were able to report with that, it was very beneficial. But if you actually look at the effect that any of these have had on the planet, if you look at the actual greenhouse gas emissions reduction, none of these things have really accomplished that yet. So we really have a lot to do, even though some of the policy is ahead. Now the other thing in Asia, I know when I went to India the first time and I had my little hotel card, my hotel card, and you leave the room and all the lights go out, I was like, man, that's smart. Why don't we think of that over here? And we do a little bit. So there are different elements in different places, but there's still a lot more to do because none of these diets have helped us lose carbon emissions yet. So we still have a long way to go.
I'll just add, Europe clearly takes the cake in terms of government.
Governments who've thought about this and are really doing some great policy work. Europe takes the cake. But if you look at where American technology and solutions are being deployed that are pretty cutting edge, I think Asia is where that technology is going to mitigate a lot of this climate effect. And one other point is this is driven a lot by what affects the world. And we didn't touch upon it in this panel, but water is one of the biggest issues, clean water. And I think that's a great place. Water and waste are 2 great places where American technology is going to start rising to challenges around the globe. So clean water affects many countries much more than a lot of this other energy-related discussion.
The other thing is you can't live without water, you can live without energy. I think of the cavemen, So it's true, if you think about it, right? Nothing personal. So as you think about that, it's a very good point. Think of the technologies and other things that you can do. So, we, the little geeks in the world like us, we do nanomembranes for desalination. There are some places where you say you don't have enough natural water, so God, we're surrounded by water, but it has all this salt and other stuff in it, so let's just purify it. So companies that can do those type of things too, waste to fuel, which is part of what I'm sure you were thinking about as well. So in all of those areas, like I said, think outside the box. Like just think, what box? Just keep thinking and doing.